Raikantopani is for Thai drama lovers only. Hi, hello, sawadee and welcome to Axelle's Guide to Thai Dramas. I am Axelle, and the Thai drama we're talking about today is mTheMostBeautifulCount. Let's get into the first impressions of the show immediately. How did I discover this show? I think, I know one of my Tumblr friends mentioned it. I had no idea that this was in the makings. I was still in my chronically offline era. I still am. I'm trying to pay a little bit more attention, I'm gonna be honest, to like the new releases, the shows that have been announced. But it is a little bit hard because nowadays, again, I've watched so many Thai dramas. I'm basically a Thai drama veteran at this point, and lots of, especially BL ships, like all the others, the GLs, the straight ships. I don't really, I don't have dislikes like these, but lots of like the big BL actors I don't quite like. I couldn't explain why. It's not just because I'm a hater, although I call myself a hater very often. It's not just because of that. It's also just the vibes, and oftentimes nowadays there's such a turnout with BL actors that I feel like it makes my head spin, and I am someone who cannot get quite attached to someone, to a celebrity or an actor that quickly. So like, for example, I know a lot of actors, they do one role and then they have so many fans, like millions of them. For me, it's really difficult to get behind that. A lot of my favorite actors that I've had, like you guys know that I hold on to my favorite actors. I've had the 3 same favorite actors for the past 6 years, of Jumpun, Flo Gawin, and Manthan Chai, and for the actresses, same, Madla Basalan, Pachayanit, Namtan Tipnari. These have been the same people for the past 6 years, or almost 7 years now. Time is flying by. So I find it very hard for me to stand immediately. I need someone to prove to me over and over again that not only are they a good actor, because to be honest, in the Thai entertainment industry, most actors are good actors, or at least decent actors. Like, I very rarely see extremely bad performances, especially for like the main actors in a show. But I also need to like their personality offline, and oftentimes I feel the personality is a little bit fake, a little bit inauthentic. That's why Of Jumpun is definitely my favorite Thai actor and has stayed that way for so long, because he's definitely a lot less polished, I would say, than some other actors. Like, he says what he thinks and he doesn't hesitate to push back against like very rude interviewers or very rude fans as well, and I really respect him for that. So I really like authenticity, and it is hard for me to care. And so that's why that was the background explanation as to why I am so chronically offline. Because sometimes it kind of upsets me to see actors that, in my opinion, again, very biased, don't deserve their fame and their hype, have their new show be so hyped. You know what I mean? On that front, I am definitely like a little bit of a bitter bitch, a little bit of a hater, and I accept that. But I'm trying to change. I'm trying to be more open-minded, okay? Because this year has been great in terms of Thai dramas. I've loved almost every show I've watched. And so I have been more open-minded. And when my show mentioned this show, I know that I knew the only actor in this, no, actually I knew 2 actors in this whole cast, which was Natsapanat, who I knew not from the big show that kind of broke him out and made him famous. Sorry, what the fuck just happened? So I knew Natsapanat not from, what's that name? Oh, I hate that show's name so bad. I'm gonna be upset that it's super high rated, but it's okay. Pete Babe. So I knew Nat Sapanat from Pete Babe, which I did not watch. It's typically the type, when I say the type of show that I don't care for the cast, it looks really uninteresting to me, overtly sexual, if I may guess. Again, I know nothing about the show, but if I guess, I think it's overtly sexual. And also, I have a little bit of a gripe against the Two Moons 2 cast, because I was a huge, like, original Two Moons stan, and I hate that they got recasted behind their backs. Like, they didn't know they were fired from the show until it was announced, like, publicly, which was so fucking shitty. And they just got recasted to do the exact same season all over again. And I think it was so unfair. And since then, all of their careers have been like a little bit struggling, which I think is not nice. Is that a good conclusion? Yeah. Anyways, so I knew Nat from My Oxygen, the series, a very, very bland BL series. I think it came out in like 2020. Super bland. Honestly, he played the most bland character of all time. I did not like him back then. I thought he was super boring. My Oxygen was again super forgettable. I'm pretty sure no one has watched it. Like, no one has went back and rewatched it since it aired. Anyways, so, I only knew him from that role, didn't hear about him for years and years and years, didn't even know he was in Pit Babe. I know one guy from Two Moons 2 was in it, that's it. I don't know the rest of the cast. And then I heard about this show, and when I read the summary, I thought it was very interesting sounding, and then my Tumblr friend told me that Nat Sapanat, like, has come out, and, is a lot more flamboyant than he used to be, like, during the My Oxygen era. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. I do really want to support openly LGBT actors. And I love when an actor kind of has this kind of evolution in his, like, sexuality presentation to the world and gets more comfortable showing who he is. So that's how I wanted to watch the show. I just literally just read the summary, and then I watched the first ever the mock trailer they did a while ago. The mock trailer showed me kind of a false version of the show, of what the show ended up being, because I didn't think it was gonna be a very, like, BL focused show, which it did end up being, even though it's also very historical. There's, like, historical drama in this, very, very pregnant in the whole show, which I loved. By the way, spoiler, I really enjoyed this show, actually. Very much so. But, I really thought this kind of show was gonna be fun, because there's a lot of shows, especially like Korean shows, but there's also some Thai shows with, like, a character from the modern world coming to the ancient world. But I thought, like, having him be so openly queer would be super interesting. But in the mock trailer, it was a lot more like, oh, who is he gonna end up with? He's gonna have, like, 3 or 4 guys running after him. And then in the final show, it's not really so much as that. So for, like, one second of me watching the show, I was a little bit disappointing at that shift. We'll talk about it. But in the end, I think it was I liked it. I like this show very much. So I was fine with the change. Now for the synopsis, I'm going to try to make it a little bit streamlined. So we have Prince, who is again played by Nat Sapanat, who is a superstar, but he lives in the country not of Thailand but of Senya. In my recent video on Love in the Moonlight, I've said that anytime you have some royalty, monarchy involved in Thailand, because monarchy is still happening in Thailand to this day, they actually always choose to create a separate country from Thailand to discuss royalty, monarchy, the end of monarchy, things like that. So in this case, Senya is an alternate reality of Thailand. So they speak Thai, but it is a much more conservative, a much more sadder country. And Prince, although he is very famous, is also very, very hated, and actually gets fined by the government for presenting more feminine, not in accordance with his gender on TV. And after that, he goes to hook up with some hookers, and he gets drugged and falls into a coma. He wakes up, I don't know how many years back, maybe 200 years back, I would guess. And he ends up as Prince Woradet, who is, not Prince Woradet, sorry, Kun Woradet, who is a nobleman in the country of Senya, but 200 years ago when it was still a monarchy. And he tries to go home. Obviously, that's always the main trope of that. But very quickly, he also ends up tangled in a love triangle as well as a plot to overthrow the monarchy. And that summary, honestly, I think this is the best summary I've ever done on one of these episodes. Because low-key, now I want to rewatch the show with the description that I made. Love triangle and overthrow the government, the monarchy. Love that. I do want to say also, because I don't know exactly in which section I should put that. I was a little bit confused in the first episode how they refer to Prince as she, but not confusing, like I don't understand why they did what they did. It's just that, again, so I would like to take this moment as a reminder that Thai gender identities are very, very different from the Western idea we have of gender identities. And nowadays these are also merging and changing because obviously Thailand does not live in a vacuum and is also very much influenced by the idea of gender in the West. So it's become even more, it was already complicated to start with, but it's gotten even more complicated because now some people include the Western way of thinking about gender, cis, trans, woman, man, and then you have your sexuality tacked onto it. But in the classic, the traditional way of viewing genders in Thailand, you are a man or a woman if you are straight. So your gender identity is attached to your gender. And then you have this third gender category for people assigned a male at birth who are more feminine. That includes a very effeminate gay man, and that includes trans women, what we would consider in the West as trans women. This category is called as katoi, and in the West, I actually have a lot of dislike for that word, but it's very contested. Again, it's very, also, if you travel to Thailand, probably people will use this word very, very often, ladyboys. And when Westerners think of ladyboys, they only think of trans women. But what we would call again trans women, but actually katoi, which is a more broader term used, the equivalent of ladyboy in Thai, is more broad and actually includes also very effeminate gay men. For a simple example that you might understand, if you watch the show Mutilov Deva Mata, that show with a group of 4 katois. Well, all of them have a slightly different gender expressions, and actually in there the character played by Yotsurat is clearly not a trans woman, what we would again qualify in the West. You see how complicated that shit is? What we would qualify in the West as a trans woman. He's like a very effeminate gay guy, and he's even on gay dating apps, etc. So all that to say that, again, we have a different way of seeing. And you're going to tell me, but what are women who like women in? So women who like women is a little bit more complicated. Like back in the day, if you watch the movie, very famous Sapphic movie, Yes or No, honestly a classic, and I kind of love it, and it was ahead of its time, to be honest. You have the Tom and D. Tom is the people who are very masculine, like the butch version of Thai queer women. But honestly, butch Thai queer women look entirely like men until they speak, probably. So it's a even more like masculine way of presenting than like butch women sometimes. And then also are the feminine presenting women who are attracted to the Tom. If I remember correctly, I hope I'm not saying some bullshit, but in any case, the Tom thing is true, maybe not the D. I think so though. Anyways, watch that movie and it will tell you more than I could. But so it's a little bit confusing because again, it's a very different ways of seeing gender, and obviously gender in itself is complex, is comprehended very differently with the people. So all that to say that when they use the she pronouns for Prince, I wasn't surprised. I was just a little bit, I cannot use the word annoyed. I was not annoyed. I just thought that it was something that they should have been more clear on, because for the rest of the show after episode 1 they use he. Obviously when Prince is in Woradet's body in the past 200 years, they call him he because it's even more of a even more conservative society. But I just wish that it would be clearer what Prince is, because I believe from, again, his gender presentation when he is 100% himself in the modern world, that he is a Katoi, but in the sense effeminate gay, much more than he is a trans woman. And again, the lines are blurred, the categories are different, but yeah, the she threw me off a little bit, so I did want to preface that. But the rest of the show does utilize he, and I thought it was a little bit more appropriate, but also I'm not the writer of the show. Only they can really choose what's what, you know? So now let's get into the characters, because spoiler alert, I really, really enjoyed these characters. So first we have Prince, or most of the show known as Waradesh, played by Nat Sabanat once again. I think Prince is very cliche Katoi. If you watch any type of Thai dramas that include Katoi character, unfortunately, I'm saying unfortunately because it's very like, I hate when it's only one type of representation for category of people. It's like putting all like gay people in one representation, black people in one type of representation, Asian people, obviously, I think. So obviously, in my opinion, representation should be as diverse as the communities it represents. But, anyway, so Prince is very much kind of the cliche of the Kato character, unfortunately, although I do really love him, by the way. He's very fun, over the top, sassy, very, very feminine, obviously. And, he is a very fun main character to root for and relate to. And I always say that I love when the main character is not boring, because unfortunately lots of, not just Thai dramas, like media from all over the world, they always love to make the main character a little bit too bland so we can relate to them a little bit too much and like imagine ourselves in their place. I don't like that. I like a very strong main character in terms of personality. It can be any type of personality. Like, give me a super shy main character. I think that's very interesting. Just not bland, not with zero, like, recognizable features to them, personality-wise. And Hero Prince is obviously the very opposite of that, very strong-headed, showcases a lot of, like, good leadership, abilities as well. I think Prince is a really, really fun main character. He's not my favorite character in the whole show, because sometimes I think he's a little bit unserious in moments that demand a little bit more seriousness. I also think that sometimes he's a little bit too self-absorbed. And I liked other characters a little bit more. We'll talk about them. But he definitely is still one of my favorite characters of the show. Obviously, there's not that many characters, but definitely one of my favorites. And then we have Koson, played by Ping or Niti, who I believe also was in Pit Babe. I didn't know this actor at all. Koson, at first, the first episode, I was a little bit confused by him. Who is he? What does he want? What his goal? Obviously very tsundere character, has his feelings, very cold character on the surface, but he did win me over. I did like Koson quite a lot. He's not my favorite, BL love interest that I've ever seen, but I thought he was very strong. I love how he's super like hyper masculine and kind of balances Prince like hyper femininity. I love how Koson, behind like being super uncaring for Prince or for Waradesh or for his brother Shed, he actually really loves them. What the fuck is this? So I think he was a really nice, obviously he's very, very hot, super tall and muscly. The girlies are gonna love that. And when I say the girlies, it's the girls, the gays, and the days. Obviously. Then we have Banjong, played by Pop Patarapun. Pop Patarapun, I knew him from the show Affair, the GL show, where he played also an unsufferable character, and spoiler, Banjong is kind of unsufferable for at least half the show. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, in episode 1, I was rooting for Banjong over Koson. My type is a lot more like super sensitive guys over like the big, like that's not my type at all. I'm not into the super hyper masculine guys because honestly, they most of the time are sexist pigs. Not that the oversensitive guys are much better. The dating world on this planet is really hell, to be honest. But still, so he was more in line with my type. Also, I knew him from the previous show. I think he's pretty good looking. But Banjong. Banjong is a little bit of a confusing character, a little bit of a weak character, but also towards the end, I really like him. So again, he's very confusing. Banjong actually tried to kill Waradesh twice. Failed twice, thankfully, but and he's in love with Waradesh. So the first time he tried to, no, actually both times he wanted to kill him is just because his sister, who hates Waradesh, let's be clear, because she's into Koson, and Koson obviously loves Waradesh, just told him, oh, he's not into our cause, like he's a liability, you should kill him. And Banjong was like, yeah, let me kill the man I love twice. At that point, I was like, Banjong, first of all, your name not so sexy, okay? Koson, you know? Banjong, not sexy. The least sexy name I've ever seen a Thai character have. However, I was willing, again, he's a writer. He has glasses. He's a sensitive boy. No. He was super weak. I don't know. I felt like a little bit, at first I was a little bit annoyed because it was so clear from episode 1, or episode 2, let's say, that the end game of Waradesh or Prince is Koson and not Banjong. So I was like, why even add Banjong into the mix? But I actually did like the jealous moments between Koson, Banjong, and Prince or Waradesh. I love kind of their trio. They're actually really fun together. I also like the friendship with Koson and Banjong towards the end that we actually got to see. I wish we would have seen it a little bit more prior to that, because they're literally conspiring together to overthrow the monarchy, but we don't see much friendship between them at the beginning. And I actually like the dynamic of silly jealousy and all of that stuff. So Banjong, my least favorite from the 5 main characters. My least favorite, there's a character that I hate more than him though, and we'll get to her. We'll get to her, okay? And I'm gonna be upset about that one. Then we have Jade. Jade by Lee Asher? I'm sorry, I don't know how to say his last name. My fave. So as soon as I saw Jade, I was like, he's gonna be my fave. Little bit naive, very attractive, beefcake boy, but isn't aware of his attractivity. Super loyal, little bit dum himbo. Very sensitive. Honestly, he is the blueprint for the golden retriever boyfriend, to be honest. And he, at the beginning, was my favorite character in the show. He still is my second favorite character in the whole show. I love Jade. I thought he was dealt so many bad hands throughout the whole show. And he's so sweet and sensitive, and I want to protect him at all costs, and I think he's the best. I love Jade so much. And then we have my actual favorite character of the show. Of course, we have Prince Shayashid, the younger brother of Koson. This came out of nowhere, okay? At first I was like, whose kid wandered on set? Okay, when I saw him. And then he grew on me and never stopped growing on me. Prince Shayashid has a very rocky relationship with Koson, but he's someone who hides everything behind a huge smile and a lot of unseriousness. But I think he's actually very emotionally intelligent. He's obviously very capable as well. And I actually loved his relationships with everyone. I like how he joked with Banjong. They had a sort of a friendship. I loved his relationship with Waradesh, where he's super okay with the effeminate gaze and just love that. I like his relationship with Koson. I love a good complicated familial relationship. Love that. Wish we would have gotten a little bit more a hug scenes between them, or a lot more little bit more sensitive scene between them towards the end, but that's my only criticism of that relationship. And obviously, and I'm maybe a little bit ashamed to say that, is this a safe place to say that I shipped Jade and Shayashid more than I shipped fucking Prince, Waradesh and Koson? I liked Waradesh and Koson, but Shade and I know the actors have such a big gap. I'm so glad nothing happened. They didn't kiss in the show. And I'm so sad that they don't have the same age or have a smaller age gap, because they were so cute together. And I lived for them, like the idea of like the servant who's like very shy and flustered, and then you have Shashet that's like, no, you're not my servant, you're my bestie, come here, sit next to me, eat with me, you don't have to bow to me, just talk to me normally. And for me it's very clear that they are very much coded as a pairing, and honestly I fucking love them. And I feel a little bit awkward saying that because again Shashid and his actor are so young, and I don't want, unfortunately, like as soon as shipping is involved it gets very like sexual and graphic, but that's really not how I see this relationship at all. But I just thought they were so sweet and cute. Like I loved this couple so much. I love them so much. And they're my two favorite characters. And individually, by the way, like before I started shipping them, they were already my two favorite characters, but I think their pairing was so fun. And there were clearly like a lot of chemistry there. So I'm like, honestly, I feel like they wanted us to ship them. That's all I'll say. That's how I defend myself. And then we have, my god, we have Pandao. So Pandao is played by the same actress who was in Harmony Secret, Belle Girachaya, and both shows were airing at the same time. Obviously, The Most Beautiful Count ended a little bit later. Pandao, oh my god, I hate that fucking bitch. And you know what? I hate that fucking bitch. You know what? Because she's the only female character. Main character. And you're gonna tell me that you're gonna put one fucking girl on that whole show, and you're gonna make her a jealous bitch, a liar, a manipulator, and fucking annoying as fucking hell. I swear, Pandao, least favorite female character I've seen in a while. Pandao can get fucked. That's all I'll say. She's so freaking annoying. I cannot even describe. Just watch the show and I don't need to explain my train of thought. You will feel it as well. Okay. She's, first of all, she serves no purpose but being like Waradesh's up. And that's it. Like literally she serves no other purpose, and that pisses me off. I just hated Pandao so much, and I fucking hate, and that's my biggest issue like in general with BL shows. I mentioned it in the latest episode where I'm like, I'm all and fine and dandy for queer representation. Make everyone gay in your show, no problem. Let's go. Okay? Literally make everyone queer in all these shows. But I really hate it when the female representation is so bad. And this felt a little bit like old school. This felt like BLs from 2018, you know? They love to shit on women back then, but nowadays I feel like it's not even the popular opinion. I feel like the fandom is kind of over that shit. So I'm kind of annoyed when I see that this is kind of making a comeback in that show, and I'm like, why? You could have, or you could have made Pandao annoying and obsessed with Kosun for the first half of the show, and then the second half give her a badass fucking redemption, you know? Because also I hated how she's also part of the plot to overthrow the monarchy, but she does nothing. She just stays at home, bitches, cooks. It's so cliche reductive. And you have like a very groundbreaking character like Prince / Waradesh, who is like a man 200 years ago putting some like some super feminine outfit on and like having some leadership qualities and becoming part of the government, being elected at the first government after they overthrew the monarchy. And so you have such a groundbreaking character like him, and you have him and Kosun kiss in front of everyone 200 years ago. Again, groundbreaking. And then you have Pandao, who is like stuck in a cliche of what a woman should be and should have and should do. And I kind of hate it. I'm like, then can you only include and make femme characters strong and fun and interesting when it's a queer person? Where are the women? Why are women always the second thought? And that kind of pisses me off. As a queer woman myself, I have both qualities. Okay. Top tier. I would not wish to be a straight man on my worst enemy. Okay. Brings you privilege, but also brings you, less brain space and empathy and all of that stuff. But I just hated Pandao, and I hated, for me, she actually contradicts the whole message of the show. So yeah, that's fun. And then we have Nat, who is, she's the only other woman, but she's not a main character. Okay, in my opinion. And Pandao is not really a main character either, but she's the most main character out of the two women on the show. And Nat is the prince's, manager, and she's also plays a role in 200 years ago. She's the aunt of Shayashid and helps them overthrow the government. And she's the only likable woman in that whole show. Great. Then we have, the two actors. We have I forgot his name, the dictator who's trying to take over the monarchy. And then we have, Roadeji's, dad, who is very homophobic and annoying and whatever. Cast and acting. I thought I had no really, I had no attachment to the cast. I thought the cast was really, really good. I think, each character of the 5 main characters is very, very distinct in personality, in appearance. Like, they're very, very distinct, and I love that. I thought that each one brought a flavor to the show, and they made the show all together. And that is not just due to the characters, that is due to the acting. I think each of these 5 actors did really, really well. I loved Shayashid's performance as Aton Tanakon, who plays, Shayashid. I think he's gonna go far, and I'm hoping he keeps acting. He's very, very young. He can take off in like the next couple years. I thought he was so good at Shayashid. He gave him so much life, but didn't make him too cocky or like superficial. He felt real, and I think these kinds of characters that are a little bit like, like always a little bit goofy, unserious, actually are harder to play than like very, very serious characters, in my opinion. Belgiwachaya, I said I didn't really love her performance in Harmony Secrets. I didn't really love her performance here, but also I didn't like both of her characters in Harmony Secret and here. So it's not like she was dealt with the best material to prove her acting, and also she's not a main character, so she didn't have that much screen time. Overall, I thought Koson really shined in that show. I think Koson was really good. At first, Koson very unexpressive, but I think the actor Ping Orniti is actually very, very good at showing the more sensitive side of Koson at times, and the more romantic side of Koson. I think he was a great performance. Obviously, Not Sapanat was so fun and good, and he carried the show. Again, he's the main character. He's the like catalyst to all the events of the show, so definitely the main character. I thought the actor who played Jade also was really solid, really cute, really adorable, and it's fun. I'm imagining that probably the real life actor has a completely different personality from Jade, and I think he did so good like playing him. And then the actor of Banjong, I hope that this actor Pop Patarapon will finally get a good role, a main role, because I think he's super cute. I think he's actually really good actor. His heart eyes towards Radish, towards the middle of the show, super good. I genuinely think if you give him a good leadership, he will eat that up. So make it happen. Thank you. Then the writing. I think the writing of the show is mostly super solid. I'm not gonna talk about a lot of very specific things. I think this show has it all. It has the hook, which is like what is gonna be like an openly queer person 200 years in the past in a historical setting. You have also the other plot of the show, which is that the overthrowing the monarchy, which in my opinion is more developed than the romance. I think the romance is very well developed, so it's very balanced. I think everything is very balanced. Maybe less the like time traveling is not that balanced, and that's gonna be ultimately my issue. I think my biggest criticism with the writing is that at the end of the show, I think it wrapped things up a little bit too messily, because basically a prince ends up staying in to the older version 200 years ago, after he overthrew the government with Koson, Banjong, Jed, and Chayashet, and they get elected at the government, and become the first democratic government of the country of Senya. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but what about Prince in the modern world? So you're telling me that he just died? But I think Prince in the modern world, okay, maybe he wasn't really needed that much anymore, because Prince, before they reversed that monarchy, when Kenya was still a very conservative country, I think Prince was such a big message, right? To be openly queer in a very conservative country, being hated by a lot of people and also loved by a lot of people who need that representation, right? But then when he disappears, maybe it's because also he's not needed, because then they reversed it and they made the country of Kenya 200 years ago more open-minded. So we are guessing that 200 years later it's also the same. And so it's more close to Thailand, which I personally consider the most like the gayest country on earth. Just by the fact that, again, I've never been to any other country in my life that where advertisement, it's only same-sex couples. Like the ads in the streets, in the BTS, it's only BL or GL couples. So I think that makes it the gayest in terms of like showing queerness. I think Thailand is number one in the world. Honestly, I don't think there's any other country that rivals it, you know? So I just felt a little bit at the end when I'm glad that Prince stayed in Kenya, because his life in the 200 years version of it, because he looked happier there. He's in love, obviously. He has a good set of friends. He's just gotten elected to the government. He's like an important person in that country. And whereas in the very, very few scenes that we see in episode 1 where he is in the present, he doesn't seem to have much going on. Like, yes, he's a famous star and he has a good manager that's like backing him up. But apart from that, he doesn't seem to have a lot of friends. He doesn't seem to have like a lot of like things going on apart from his career and the hate he's getting because he's openly queer. So I understand that he stayed in the past, but at the same time, what does that mean for the present? You know what I mean? I wish we would have seen like a flash forward again to the present and see how much the country we saw in the past, in the flashbacks, the present country we saw before Prince got zapped to the past, has changed now that they overthrew the monarchy in the past. I don't know if you guys understand anything I'm saying, but yeah. So apart from that, the writing, I think, was very, very solid. I think they really managed to make this a very coherent story. I really love the political aspects of it. Also, I love historical shows for this reason. I love the friendships between the characters, the way their relationships evolve. Especially, actually, I like the relationship between the characters a lot more in the second half, when finally we started seeing some friendship between Koson, Banjong, Jae, Chashit, like all of them. They're all together finally for a long period of time in the show. I loved it so much. I genuinely think the writing is very, very good. It was not only entertaining, but they still have some touching moments. I think Koson was very interesting as like an openly queer man in the past, who is like very masculine presenting, but also not, got condemned, you know, for, I think hooking up with another guy at the court, the royal court, and he got condemned, and that's how at first he was stripped of his royal or noble title. And I thought that was really interesting that this happened. I think Koson is a very interesting character as well. No, everything about the writing I really, really liked. Oh, the only other thing I didn't like is very nitpicky, but again, I'm a Jade girly. I hated when in the last episode they pretended that Jade was killed and no one cared about it, like Jade dying, like especially Prince, like or Waradesh, like Jed was his servant first, and he was very, very close to him and they got along super well. And Jade dies and no one gives a fuck. Neither Waradesh or Koson or Banjong gives a fuck. Only Shayashid gives a fuck. And we see that for one scene. And then Jed reappears. And the reason this like narratively doesn't really work is because we had the same exact storyline 2 episodes prior or 1 episode prior with Shayashid. But this time everyone was in on it except Jed. So basically Waradesh, Koson, Banjong, and Shayashid conspired to pretend that Shayashid had been killed, and Jade was super in distress. This is how you know they're in love with each other. They just can't put the word on it. And that's when they revealed, oh no, he's actually alive. We pretended. So the fact that they did that an episode or 2 later with Jade again, and Jade just miraculously survives, I thought was a little bit cheap. Like, it was reusing the same exact plot point and trope. And again, if you couple the characters, you have Moradej and Koson. Banjong is kind of the third wheel, the fifth wheel in this whole story. And then Jade and Chayashed were already like always together in the show. So the fact that it also not only happens twice in the show, which is already kind of not good, but then it happens to the two people who are linked and the most sad when they lose quote unquote the other, for me was a little bit weak, and I wish they would have done something else to create some tension between Jade and Chayashed when Chayashed thought that Jade was dead. But apart from that, I don't have much to criticize from the writing except Pandao, okay? Stop it. They should have removed her entirely or done better. And also, I wish they would have just introduced a new boy for Banjong towards the last episodes, because I think he's a dum-dum and he was dumb as fuck for trying to kill Waradesh twice. But I think he still deserves love. That's my conclusion. He still deserves love. Everyone deserves love. Then we have the cinematography. Obviously, this show takes place mostly in the past. It's super gorgeous. I actually loved most of the shots and the scenes, and it's really well filmed. Well, the camera shots are very basic, but at this point I've rarely seen a Thai drama with actually like fun and innovative camera shots. The only criticism, and I will put this criticism in cinematography because we don't have a VFX category, the VFX for the animals. So there's Koson has a pet tiger called Mumu, super cute. I actually really loved the tie-in with Mumu in the end, because Mumu actually kills a lot of soldiers by eating them at the end of the show. And Mumu is very clearly like a free royalty free like video of a tiger laying on a green screen put onto the show, and it's very badly done, so obvious. It looks like an internet video from 2009 instead of a show where the rest of the show is so well done. Again, it looks beautiful. It's filmed on great cameras of great quality, and then you have that very clearly fake ass tiger, and I'm like, a lot of people privately own tigers in Thailand, which I don't agree with, by the way. They could have just made the tiger come into the decor, film it without anyone around except like one cameraman and the handlers of the tiger, and repeated that clip over and over again for the rest of the show. And that would have costed a little bit more, but been more real. And then there's also a scene with a bunny, in the forest, and that bunny isn't even real. Why couldn't they just put a fucking bunny, film the scene for, literally he's on screen, the bunny is on screen for 5 seconds? Just put a bunny, film for 5 seconds, take the bunny, put it in its cage. I just didn't get it. I thought it was a little bit dumb. Like, in my opinion, maybe I'm a purist, whatever. Don't include something that you cannot actually make look real. You know, then don't include the tiger character. Why? The bunny even more, because he was there for 5 seconds and he has it had no impact on the plot whatsoever. But for Mumu, I actually love Mumu. I love that Koson has a fucking pet tiger. That's so fucking random. And that adds to his lore and makes him a little bit more fun. You know, he's a very serious character. So yes, give him a pet tiger, then film a real fucking tiger. But apart from that, the cinematography was pretty good. Then the pace of the show, for me, the pace of the show was so good. There was not a moment that I was bored, because again, it has what I love the most in these shows, which is very strong plot A and plot B. I thought the romance between Koson and Prince / Waradesh is really well done, and because they have so much banter, it really works. And then I also thought, especially plot B, which is the political stuff, overthrowing the governor, blah blah blah. And there's also plot C, which is like the time traveling, which is less developed, yes, but the plot B was super interesting, and they managed to all intertwine it so well with not just Koson and Waradesh, but also the other characters, that for me it really worked. And there was not one episode that I thought was weaker than the others or was boring. I generally thought the pace of the show was super good, and yeah, I really loved it. Then we have the ships and chemistry. So let's start with the actual real ship of that show before we go on to my crack ship. We have, of course, Koson and Waradesh. I thought they were great. I love a ship with good banter. They are very much opposites attract. They're very much like, at first, Prince, who inhabits Waradesh's body, actually doesn't really like Koson that much. He likes him physically, but in terms of personality, they don't really mash well. But actually, it's very clear that the real pairing was Prince and Koson, and then the old Waradesh was more fit with Banjong, because the old Waradesh is a little bit more calm and also intellectual and also a little bit boring, and they go more with Banjong. By the way, I just realized also that my criticism about the writing, that they didn't quite wrap up the ending, like literally Prince choosing to stay in the past also means that Waradesh died. So that's fun. I kind of feel bad for him, because he's also a queer man in the past, and being with a very homophobic father and being very unhappy, and he got killed by the man he loved. That's shitty as fuck. Damn. So I thought Koson and Prince / Waradesh so good together. I thought the chemistry was great. They were fun. At first I didn't love them. I was like, it's too like superficial, but actually I like that they fall in love throughout the show, and at the end of the show, like, you really believe in them, and they're very, very cute ship, very believable, I really like them, actually. And then, of course, we have my official ship. But I do think they were very heavily hinted to be a ship, which is, of course, Shahid and Jade. I thought they were super cute, as I said. I thought they were really, again, opposites attract. I do love a good opposites attract couple. I thought their banter was fun. I thought their relationship and the way it evolved was fun. No, I love them. They were my favorite ship of that show, and they're not even a real fucking ship. They're just really cute. I thought, like, both ships in the show, but even, like, Waradesh and Banjong, like, when they had, like, the two scenes where they have a little bit of chemistry, they had good chemistry. I thought, like, everyone did a really good job at, like, the chemistry aspect. And yeah, both ships, even though, again, it's more one ship, I invented kind of the second one, were so good, and they definitely carried the show. They made it more fun and added a lot more, like, banter and depth into the show. Then we have the music. The music, I'm gonna be honest, I do like This Is Me by Prince, like his single that he always sings, and he even sings it in a cappella in the past, which was fucking funny. And he makes the other guys like dance with him. That was really, really fun. Again, one of my favorite moments, really fun, goofy moments. I kind of love these kinds of moments the most. Very much fan service, like, it's really fun. But apart from that, the music was not, like, very exceptional to me. Didn't notice it. I would say it was not that exceptional, not that good. Then the costume design, I thought the costume design was really, really good. Mostly for the past. I really love Waradesh, his costume. It's so good how he manages to change his costume, to fit his actual gender identity and the way he wants to present, by adding some lace on top of his male costume. I thought it was super cute. And I thought that, the rest of the costume design was also good. The way each character kind of has their own color, their own clothes. I honestly thought the costume design was pretty solid. I think, although I think apart from Waradesh costume, like, they did have to try and be a little bit more historically accurate. So I don't know how much credit I can give to that, but I did like what they did with the costume design. Then the rewatchability, honestly, I would rewatch this show. Will I? Probably not, because I'm trying to, like, watch more new shows, and again, I'm trying to open myself up. I've become an open-minded Thai drama watcher nowadays, so I'm trying to, like, watch more Thai dramas instead of rewatching always the same old ones. But I would definitely rewatch this. I think it's such a fun show, but with actual, like, action and drama and romance, and it has so many different aspects to it that make it very easily rewatchable, and I love that. Then my enjoyment out of 5 stars, gotta be a 5. Super enjoyable. Honestly, one of the funnest shows I've seen this year. For me, it really showed how when you incorporate queerness in topics or shows that you wouldn't really have imagined it being so prominent or at least so open, for me, it had so much new elements, so much fun. And obviously as a queer woman, I just love it. I think obviously being queer is great and amazing and fun despite like all the bigots in the world. So for me, like it was definitely a net positive in this show where I thought it was just so fun, but it has also a lot of moving moments. It has some real relationships and some real sadness also at moments in that, even though it's mostly like 99% very fun. And I thought it did so well with its team and its characters, and really wasn't afraid to look ridiculous. And that's my favorite aspect of Thai dramas. I think Thai dramas make such good comedies because they don't give a fuck. They're like, let's not take ourselves seriously at all. And I think that's a great quality that not every comedy from every country can do. So definitely enjoy this 5 stars out of 5 because it was so fun. And then my rating, I kind of forgot what I rated it. Oh yeah, I gave it an 8. Okay, interesting. Actually, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I don't know why I gave it an 8. I disagree with my old self. I thought it was a really fun freaking show. I think it was very well done. And the viewers on my dramas gave it a 7.8, which is pretty good. I'm actually surprised. I thought they would have given it higher, but I guess that a lot of BL watchers don't really like shows with a lot more substance than just the love and the sex. No shade. But I really enjoyed this show. 8.5. I don't know why I gave it an 8. I think 8.5 is really good. Then how I would fix it again, the Pandao thing, just make women. I would have loved to see Pandao actually become Warade's bestie, because once again, like straight women have always been, not always, but very often been the biggest allies of queer people. And again, the biggest ups of queer people are always straight men, right? So I'm like, why are we making it so the only woman in the show that's kind of a main character is such a bitch, so annoying, and such like against, Waradesh, where I would have liked it if the show started like that and then Pandao had a huge redemption, grew into her own person, became badass as fuck, and became Muradej's like bestie, and they could be the two like femme besties, you know what I mean? Like I think you guys see the vision, and I think it would have been so cute, and also highlighted how like women, actually no matter like if they're straight or not, but women have always been super allies of the femme boys, you know. So for me, I really, Panda would be number 1. I also would change the Jed thing, where it was the same plot of like, oh, we don't think Jed is dead, and then he appears and he's like, actually, I'm not dead. And it's never explained, by the way. We never learn how he survived. What are they doing out of my fucking door? Anyways, and that's almost it. Oh no, and the ending just explain what happened to the present world, and also to Waradesh. Maybe Waradesh could wake up in the stead of Prince in the present world and be himself and experience the modern world. You know, that could have been interesting, or maybe even hints at like a sequel. I don't know. I think it could have been fun. And lastly, who would like this show? The girls, the gays, and the days, obviously. Well, yes. But also, no, I think a lot of people would like this show, unless you watch BL only again for the sex and the love and the romantic scenes, and not for like substance or interesting to say or comedy or like friendship or other relationships, then you will not like this show. But I think in general, this show was super fun. Really good, light, but also with some heavier topics. Really great characters and great performances. I fucking love that show. And you see, this is why I'm telling you guys that I'm trying to be more open-minded these days, because I'm like, I should really try to be more open-minded and watch just more Thai dramas with casts that I don't really know or don't really love that much. I've been really positively surprised this year. So yeah, that was it for today's episode. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.